Welcome, ballers, to another episode of the Smash Dell Fantasy Football Show. As you know, we talk about all things fantasy with the motto of bringing perspectives and providing insight. So, special guest we have on today, the GM of Half Chubb, none other than Dylan Mall, and been fairly competitive, came out of the gates, but then kind of stumbled a little bit. Not sure, lost his balance or what's going on now, but anyway, we'll get into that and other things having to do with COVID policy. We'll cover game preview and the matchup and things like that. Welcome to the show, Half Chubb.
Thank you, Commish, for having me on. I'm a big fan of the show.
Big fan of the show, huh? Well,
Yep.
Are you following the show?
Absolutely.
You are. Well, I noticed you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel because I have no subscribers. So everybody goes and subscribe to the channel, the YouTube channel, and then go ahead and click the bell so you don't miss out on any of these fantasy nuggets, virtual gold being thrown around here on these podcasts. So any owner not listening is kind of a little bit out of the loop and basically gambling with their fate. So give us a little rundown how you think your team's doing this year so far.
Well, not quite as good as I expected. I've had not too many injuries, but one notable injury that's kind of put my team off the rails a little bit. Obviously, with Nick Chubb going down.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course.
But I think we're set for a rebound here. I got some decent rookies that might fill in, so we'll see how the rest of the season goes.
Really? So you're kind of cobbling together a lineup is what it sounds like you're doing. Sound like a cobbler, right?
Right. I mean, just kind of trying to do what I can.
Okay. Because the nickname we had for Fall Guy was Grappler, if you remember. When I had
Grappler.
laces out on, I said, "CC Fall Guy." I said, "He's Grappler," and so you're cobbler. You're the cobbler, cobbling together the lineup, investing in rookies and all kinds of good stuff. So, um, what about the draft? Why don't we run down a little bit of what your draft was? I mean, you had some draft capital, didn't you?
A little bit. I drafted two people in the seconds, and then
Okay.
I think I had another one or two in the third. And then, of course, I drafted James Robinson with the Mr. Irrelevant pick of 412.
Well,
That worked out pretty well for me.
you certainly jumped on that a lot earlier than I thought you would, but you're coming right out of the gate with James Robinson. So looks like you have a little bit of confidence in him. I'm not sure. Seems to be pretty relevant. Um, there's no competition for carries in Jacksonville whatsoever. He's getting every carry.
That's good.
So,
That's what I like to see.
well, what were the rookies that you got? How many rookies did you draft, and how many made it onto your roster?
Well, I ended up drafting, I think it was 5 rookies.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 rookies. All of them made it except I believe it was can't remember who I drafted for that Chargers receiver. KJ Hill or something like that. He didn't
Oh,
make it.
yeah, KJ Hill. He's found his way onto the Smash Mouth squad there. So nice acquisition for the bench, you have to agree. So with the young Justin Herbert there, I think there's some stock to be had. So I
Oh
snatched
yeah.
him up, but you retained a strong roster. So you drafted 5 rookies, and 4 of
Yep.
them made your team. 4 rookies from this draft made your top 29 players.
Yeah, I have pretty long wide receiver list on here, but probably the best one out of that bunch would be Brian Edwards so far, but he hasn't really played a whole lot.
Well, Edwards has been hurt though. Edwards has been hurt with an ankle, so
Yep.
he's been slowed a little bit. So he'll get back in there, I think. I think he'll get back in there for the push because,
He's got some potential. He's got a big frame, runs good routes. We'll see what happens.
well, do they targeted him much? What's his target count been this year?
Well, he's only played 3 games, 6 targets in those 3 games, so not too much, but
I see.
a lot of mouths to feed there.
Oh yeah, indeed. But I think it's a nice like legacy pick where you're going to invest in this guy and he'll give you 10 years, he'll give you 10 good years probably.
Yeah,
So
hopefully.
yeah, he'll make his way up the pecking order there. And I mean, he doesn't have a lot of competition there really. What's he got? Renfro, um,
Henry Ruggs, they like him.
Ruggs, yeah. But he's not over targeted. Ruggs isn't.
No, not too much.
I don't think he's. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles Giants game going on in the background here, so we'll kind of keep tabs on that as some players are indeed playing tonight as we're podcasting. So where were we? We were at Brian Edwards. Now, was he a second round pick?
Yep, he was a second round pick. I believe I took him with the 10th pick in the second round.
10th pick in the. What do you got? A little Clamato going on there, or what?
Yeah, it's going to be a Budweiser Clamato.
Is that right? Just kind of kicking back, doing the Jimmy
Drink of
Johnson
choice as
thing,
of late.
doing the Jimmy Johnson thing. So,
Yep.
so second rounder, and then what was your other second rounder? It sounds like you had another second. You didn't have a slot pick, right?
Nope.
No slot
Traded
pick.
that
So you
away to
got
laces out.
all right. So you got 2 second rounders and 2 third rounders. Did those all make your squad?
Yep.
Well, let's kind of break them down a little bit.
Sure. So then after Brian Edwards, 2 picks later, I was able to acquire Antonio Gibson for Washington football team.
For
He's kind of a
Washington
guy who I
football
think has
team.
a lot of upside.
I would say he probably does have a lot of upside. His athleticism will not make it possible that they won't feed him the ball there. So um, a little bit of risk with that McKissick there because
Well,
McKissick is
Ron Rivera did compare him to Christian McCaffrey in training camp, but we'll see. We'll see if he can get to that level.
who's which one is that?
Antonio Gibson.
Oh, well, I think he could be very good. I think for some reason, though, they insist on time sharing with McKissick and also giving him third down work as well. That takes
I think that
touches
just
away.
comes down. I think that just comes down to he has a little more experience.
Oh, sure.
That'll change.
You think that'll change out there in Washington football team?
Well, I'm hoping so.
Well, have you ever thought of trading him while his value is high? It's
I've
probably
thought
pretty
about
high.
it.
It's probably pretty high right now. He's got some decent equity.
Yeah, dude. With Nick Chubb going out though, I don't know. I might need him coming up here.
You might need him. Well, seems like you've been playing him of late.
I've been starting all four of my running backs lately.
Well, that's an interesting situation there. Let's see here. I was going to go ahead and pull this up here. Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
All right. Well, there's you right there, Half Chubb. 2-4, laces out 5-1. But you've been starting combination here of Antonio Gibson, Todd Gurley, David Johnson, and James Robinson. So you've been rolling with two rookies and two veterans there. And then running
Yeah,
out
it's
just
not.
running out Lockett.
Yeah, it's not how I thought my lineup would have looked at the beginning of the year, but not much you can do with injuries.
Yeah, no, let's go into the injuries. What injuries have hurt your squad going here so far?
Well, I've been pretty lucky regarding some other teams, but they're pretty much just the Nick Chubb injury is kind of been the only one I've really had to deal with so far.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely hurts. Because you could be playing them, maybe even in front of Gibson there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, but you've been definitely been competitive. I mean, you've got the guns. I mean, you haven't been doing that badly in scoring, have you?
Last couple weeks have not been too satisfying.
Well, I take that back. I mean, you had 100.8 last week, so but I don't think any of your guys scored.
Nope.
I
Nobody
think I
had those
went
touchdowns.
went through that on that recap episode there. So, um, yeah, you're rolling with so the four rookies you kept then were Antonio Gibson and Brian Edwards.
Yeah. Then James Robinson.
James Robinson. Yep.
And then I got Antonio Gandy Golden.
Oh, and Tanner, you got from Washington football team, right?
Yep. I don't think he hasn't really played too much, but
No, and then you've got another
he's a nice
rookie.
big receiver. So hopefully he can produce in the future.
Yeah, he's a big receiver, and it's not uncommon for those some rookies to develop a little bit. Plus, you've got the quarterback situation. It's Kyle Allen, isn't it? No,
Yep.
for God's sakes. Um, which they pulled Haskins. Now, some say was it too soon? Some say was it not too soon? I mean, there's debate about that. Whether should they have let the kid roll with the punches here?
I think they should have gave him a little more time. I mean, he's still pretty young, so he still has a lot of time to develop.
Well, I think they pulled him after week 4, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Well, I don't think it was any later. So because they ran out Kyle Allen, and then didn't he get hurt or something? Kyle Allen.
He got hurt, then Alex Smith came in.
Oh my God, that's right. Okay, Alex Smith came in. So Haskins is for some reason out of favor with that what is it, Ron Rivera regime out there.
Yep.
Well,
But he's got a pretty similar completion percentage as Lamar Jackson, so I don't know. We'll see what happens with him.
yeah, I mean, it's really hard to tell here. All right, let's go with that now. All right, now we're doing that background. The little more of a virtual look, the angry charging bison. I like to call it a buffalo, but as you can see, it's charging right toward Half Chubb there. I have it designed that way for intimidation purposes. So, um, so your rookies once again: James Robinson, uh, Brian Edwards, um,
Antonio Gibson,
Antonio Gibson,
Antonio Gandy Golden.
and Gandy Golden. Yeah,
And then I also picked up Gabriel Davis on the waiver wire.
and he's a rookie, right?
Yep.
So that's your 5 rookies.
Yep. That's what I got on my roster.
That's your 5 rookies. Well, um, John Brown has been dealing with some issues now. The latest that I hear is that it looks like he's due to probably play, but
Yep.
but if he doesn't, I mean that behooves Gabriel Davis there because then it elevates him up to starter level, doesn't it? On the squad.
Yeah, you'd think. I mean, so far he hasn't been too bad for a rookie, especially if you pick him up on the waiver wire. But I think he has a decent future there in Buffalo. Josh Allen seems to like him quite a bit. So
Yeah, and that's the key. They're both young, and so then you got John Brown, who's no slouch, right? I mean, very talented receiver, and with him back healthy, and then you got Diggs to feed. Gabriel Davis is, basically a nice deep bench stash right now, and
oh yeah.
for the future. But it's good. It's a good farm system there. Um, So how do you feel about your team right now? I mean, as far as its competitiveness, I mean, you're going against Laces out here. So how do you feel in terms of your competitiveness right now? Do you feel you're competing with you just had a couple down weeks?
Yeah, I feel like my guys, they're just having a few down weeks. I haven't lost confidence at all. So I think they'll be able to produce here coming up in the next few weeks.
Well, exactly. It's just it's matchups and how they perform, and you've got a stout roster there. Now we're looking at you're going into Laces out. All right. Now, I didn't handicap this game in a podcast, but I can't recall what it was. I think it was a slight favorite to Laces. I can't recall. But you now are having to play Jared Goff, which is not a bad play whatsoever because Lamar's on bye. Now, how do you feel about that?
A little nervous on Goff. I'm not sure how he'll be able to perform against Chicago's defense. They're still pretty good, and the Rams' offensive line looked like it was pretty weak last game. So we'll see if he has enough time to make some plays with Khalil Mack running at him all game. So
Well, I think they can throw on Chicago. I do. I think they can throw on Chicago. Plus, it's at home. I don't know. I mean, he's put up a couple pretty good games of late, hasn't he, or not?
yep,
Not the
yep.
last one, was it? Or
Not the last game. No, he didn't do too well, but I believe 2 weeks ago he scored it might have been about 30.
Oh yeah, yeah. So he can go off too. So he's no slouch on a bye week. So sounds like you're pretty set up there. Um, then you're fielding a couple veterans. Todd Gurley. How do you feel about Todd Gurley out there in Atlanta at this point?
I feel like Gurley's been pretty good so far. The knee injury doesn't seem to really have an effect as of yet. They've been using him. I believe he's been averaging about 17 touches a game. So
Okay.
see if they can keep that up, and hopefully that knee will hold up all season.
Well, 17 touches really are quality touches for Gurley. Um, and you're looking at probably a touchdown in there and a good week in general. So 17 touches, you can get 20 points out of that with Gurley pretty easily. So he
I'd
doesn't
like to
look
see
like
him.
he's who's he sharing that
I
with now out there?
I'd like to see him get a little bit more receiving touches. He hasn't really been too much of a receiving threat, so hopefully they can pick that up with the new coach and the new GM.
Well, who are they throwing to over there? If they're who's the running backs they're throwing to?
I think his name's Brian Smith. He's been getting a lot of the receiving touches. And then they
Brian
also have
Smith,
it's Brian something. I can't remember his last
Brian
name.
Hill.
Brian Hill. It's Ito Smith. That's who I got.
They have Ito Smith and Brian Hill.
Yep.
And so who they throwing to? They must be throwing to somebody. Ito Smith
It's
maybe
mainly
is getting some touches.
he's been getting a few targets, and then it's mainly Brian Hill who's kind of been serving as the receiving back for them. But there's a lot of mouths to feed out there on the receiver end. So
Yeah, I think they're mainly going to run Gurley. He might get, um, I don't know. Hopefully he gets 3 targets a game for God's sakes. Because if he doesn't, it's not going to add much. Because they can get him out in space and on screens and get him out there, and he still is effective if you use him that way. Get the
yep.
ball into his hands in space because still got he's still an elite talent in my opinion. I think Todd Gurley is elite. I mean, he's been elite in the past, and I mean, we'll see where he comes in, but he might be flirting with RB1 numbers to this point. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
how he
hopefully
started the season, but
he started a little slow. I think the Falcons were a little nervous about giving him touches with his knee issue, his arthritis, I believe it is, but seems to be holding up.
yeah, and he's a wily veteran to have in there. So, and certainly the way Atlanta's starting to turn around now, it looks like you don't know what to expect now. They're world beaters. So we'll have to see what happens. Now they got to go. They got Detroit coming in, so he should be able to pound away at them a little bit, I would think. But if they get a lead, it could be
Oh yeah.
big. So, and then of course you've got David Johnson, who he came out of the gate real hot. He's been performing pretty well.
Yeah, he's been more of an RB3, RB2 lately.
Uh huh. Now he was getting like 17 touches a game. I wonder if he's still getting those.
It's been around there. They haven't really been thrown to him a whole lot lately.
I mean, there's no reason David Johnson shouldn't have 20 touches a game.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he's definitely there's not much competition for running backs there. I think basically you've got Duke Johnson. Then after that, I don't think there really is much.
Um, no, because Darrington Evans is on Tennessee, right? Or is it
Yep.
Darrington Evans?
Yep.
He's on Tennessee. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you've got, of course, James Robinson. So, and he's locking it in with Mahomes, of course. He's got Zeke Elliott, but who knows what's going to happen there? Is he going to put RB1 numbers up or is he going to put RB4 numbers up? I mean, you don't
Who
know.
knows?
You don't know because what Dallas are you going to get this week? Because it certainly didn't look like it was going to be the Zeke show last week, the way they were playing.
Well, he had 2 lost fumbles, I think, in the first half.
Yeah, that didn't help his day. Did not help his day at all. So who knows what you're going to get there for sure. Joe Mixon. Now Mixon is in our injury report uh, segment with a foot injury. Now it's not clear that he will play for sure on Sunday. Um, he's listed as questionable right now, and so if he doesn't play, then he's going to have to stick in another receiver, and that would probably be Traquan Smith or Juju Smith-Schuster, because both of those are on his bench right now. So,
Yeah.
so he'd pop one of those in there. So it looks like you got looks like a pretty fair matchup. Looks like you got a pretty good opportunity there.
Yeah, and then A.J. Brown actually missed practice today, too, with that same knee issue he's been having all year.
Really?
We'll see what comes of that tomorrow.
So AJ Brown, he hasn't missed any games. I don't believe. Did he miss a game a couple of games ago?
Yep, I believe so.
Well, when he's been active, he's been very productive.
He's
Very
been at a
productive.
23% target share when he's been in there, so
No
they like to get
kidding.
him the ball.
Yeah, and then of course he's got DK Metcalf, basically Megatron is what he's like. He's going to be like
Yeah,
Megatron.
that's a guy that's going to be one of the best receivers in the game here.
It's crazy how what an athletic specimen he is for somebody of his stature, running like a 4.35. I
Looks like a
mean,
bodybuilder.
yeah, he and he's guaranteed for one long score a game. And I wish I had him. I wish I had DK Metcalf right now. He was a great pickup. I think, well, he was a slot pick.
No,
What?
he was taken in the standard rookie draft.
He was taken in the standard rookie draft. Wow. Well, he must have been an awful high pick in the second round. I can't recall, but
Yeah, I'm not sure.
so Laces Out had said that he hosts quite a few rookies. He doesn't have any rookies in his starting lineup this week, but he's got Jerry Judy, um, Andy Isabella, Juju Smith-Schuster, and N'Keal Harry and Miles Boykin there. So all very young stable of receivers, all first, second, or third year guys. So it looks like he's got a pretty good stable down there. Then, of course, you've got Tyler Boyd as well on your squad, and I think he's worth starting as a RW, 2-ish type receiver.
Yeah, I've been thinking about maybe starting him, but I'm just not sure. Not sure who I'd put him in for. I'm a little questionable on that James Robinson matchup with the Chargers at LA.
Really, you're
I
fearing
think the Chargers have been pretty good against the run this year.
really? Well, yeah, if James Robinson doesn't get in the end zone, it's kind of a tough day. I mean, hopefully continues to get catches because he's been involved in the passing game to some extent.
Yep.
So um, I think he just had a tough matchup last week, but he still put up some decent yards on those touches that he had. So,
Well, he had a receiving touchdown that saved his day.
oh, Robinson did get in the end zone, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think he put up 17, didn't he?
It was something around there.
Yeah. Yeah, salvaged the day. So then you've got the old veteran there, Julian Edelman. So it looks like you're benching Edelman this week against the Niners, huh?
Yeah, I started Julian Edelman, I think the first 2 or 3 weeks, but I don't think I've started him since then. Just hasn't really been producing with Cam Newton there in New England lately. They seem to be having some issues there with their offense.
So it's not really a smooth operating machine right now. Is that kind of what you're thinking in
Yeah, and
regards to?
I'm not too sure if it doesn't seem like Cam Newton's been throwing the ball a whole lot lately.
Well, he's been in there, what? He missed a week, so he's played what, 5 games? That fair statement?
I believe so. Yeah, it's been 5 because he had to sit out. Well, they had a bye week because they had a little COVID-19 outbreak there.
Yeah. But he hasn't really been throwing up the big numbers in the passing game,
No, he's been running a lot.
which is good, but it's not quite enough unless you're putting up on the passing side as well.
Yep.
So that's going to
It's
affect Edelman.
not quite like the old Brady throwing to Edelman.
Brady to Edelman connection, no. But you'd think they'd have a pretty good chemistry because they worked on it to some extent in the offseason, you would think, right? So
Yeah.
New England hasn't been putting up a lot of points, though, really.
Nope, I don't think they can produce without Brady for a while. They got to find someone else to kind of get in there and take charge.
Yeah. Let me just go here. I'm going to just pull up the standings because we're going to kind of go through what the standings are this week, folks. Can you see that, Dylan?
Yep.
The standings? Okay. Well, here's an interesting stat. The parity in the league is obvious when you look at the statistics of how many teams are at 500 or above or below. Well, we have the statistics here for you, and it says that There are 7 teams at 500. There's 7 teams at 3-3. Okay, 7. 3 are below 500, and 2 are above 500 in the league. 2 are above 500 in the league, and that is Meat Curtains and Laces Out. Everybody else is 3-3.
Pretty competitive this year.
Yeah, it's been a year where there is not only parity, but everybody is bringing competition each week. Um, people are coming on like Boomer Nation. Boomer Nation is, in fact, I've been talking about him and Ragnar, and now I'm facing Ragnar, and he's got a stout lineup himself. So, um, I mean, I'm out Delvin Cook, I'm out Austin Eckler, I'm out, whatever, but you got to step up to the plate. So I'm running out Edmonds, but you do what you got to do. So
Yeah.
everybody has a chance, is what it looks like to me for the playoffs.
Yeah,
Everybody's in the game.
I've already doubled my loss total from last year. So
Yeah, you are basically in last place in your division. I don't know how you are. You're basically tied for second with Ragnar being, but Ragnar's nothing to sneeze at. Ragnar has outscored everybody in your division. It's not by
yeah,
far, but um, he's on par with kind of what you've been putting up there. So, um, but let's go to the Laces Out, CC Fall Guy, and Boomer Nation. Now there you're looking at two teams in that division over 840 points. So that's second and third in the league, and
pretty pretty competitive division there.
it's none other than Laces Out with 850 and Boomer Nation with 844 and CC Fall grappling. Like I said, he's a grappler. And so the only other team to have a more points scored is Meat Curtains with 1,021. So um, there's nobody really even within striking distance of Meat Curtains at this stage. But yeah, look at Boomer Nation. I've been talking about him, and he's got something to say this year. He's making a statement. I know his team photo here is just a happy smiley face emoji right there, which just looks a little silly, but nonetheless, it's friendly. So it's a very friendly. That's none other than Ronnie Sides, a second-year owner. So he's got to be proud of his team this year. So um, the other owner from last year, of course, Just Win Baby, and he has been competitive. He's got a little work to do, but he's in the mix. We'll call him in the mix guy. So, um, and then of course we had a new owner this year. Skoll was a new owner, so nice to have a new solid owner on board. He's got a pretty decent squad, fairly competitive, would you say?
Oh yeah, Skull Eric. He's a guy that loves fantasy football, so I think he's really going to get on track here. You know, it's always tough with your first year, but I think he'll be able to garnish a nice squad here.
Well, and it's tough when you inherit a team as well. There's a certain amount of rebuilding. The guy didn't get fired because he was winning titles. So, but I see he has been recently rapidly acquiring draft picks by the lot, acquiring draft picks in a Spielman like fashion. because he made a recent trade, of course, that we should probably spotlight a little bit. And there was a recent trade, of course, that went through on the wire between Laces Out and Skoll, where going to Skoll is a 2021 second, 2021 third, 2022 second, to 2022 third for the number one pick, slot pick, first round pick goes to Laces Out. So Skoll picks up 4 nice draft picks with which to build his squad. So he knows that you have to build through the draft, you know.
You can do a lot with those picks.
What's that?
You can do a lot with those picks.
Yeah, you can do a lot with them. You can use them, you can trade them, but Laces Out is somewhat the rich get richer with slots because of his wheeling and dealing is second to none in the league right now, with me kind of on the sidelines as far as trading goes. I've been pretty silent. I haven't felt the need to move anybody around. So, but yeah, he just traded away 4 draft picks to get 1, and he still has draft picks. He still has draft picks in 2021.
Yeah, I think he might be sitting at 3 slot picks now.
Oh, for God's sakes! So he doles out 3 draft picks, 4 draft picks, and in return he gets another slot with a very, very talent laden first round of the rookie draft next year. It's replete with wide receivers and running backs, and it's got like 3 quarterbacks. So first 2 rounds will be chock full of talent, and so as many dart throws as you can accumulate in the form of draft picks, the more chance you got of something sticking. Um, Whereas Laces Out trades away draft capital to get that blue chip player that he wants to build around and incubate. So that sounds to me, in watching him manage his franchise and having him on the program, that that's kind of the way he was building. So
Yep.
another solid owner there. So um, we should probably go over once again the COVID policy so we can get this on tape and on air and on the record. Just to uh, go over it a little bit here. There were 2 options put on the table. One, which was should a game get canceled and all your players have played, what do you do? Who do you sub in? Option 1 was pick the next highest scoring player at that position, and he would be subbed in. Option 2 was to have the next highest scoring, or projected scoring would be subbed in, and it was brought to the league, and those that weighed in, and it looks like the Yays carried option 2, which is to go ahead and go by the power rankings, just so everybody's clear on that, so there'll be no whining at the league's door about, well, I didn't know I had to put him in. No, there's no whining because there's no decision to be made. There's
Yep.
no decision. It's we wanted something that was automatic, right? We were
Right.
thinking, well, do you ask people who they to put in? And we thought about that, but how do you manage that as a commissioner? And so it's automatic. The next highest scoring at that position projected. So
I think that's probably the best way to go about it. I mean, there's really not much you can do. regarding this kind of more weird season we've had.
Well, it's likely that that policy may be put into place here, I would bet, because it's only week 6. And with cases spiking, it seems like, if you believe the news, they're spiking everywhere. And, they're hermetically sealed, I know, in plastic wrap and, naked with plastic wrap sealed around their bodies and transported from the game to their bubble at home and back and forth. I know all that, but it can still happen. Infections can still happen on these teams. And
Is that really how they're transporting these players?
well, of course it is. You've seen the one, especially of little Edelman rolled up with no clothes in plastic wrap. It's kind of funny because he's hairy for a little guy like that. So that's pretty funny. And they're still becoming infected, so you can't, plastic wrap is not doing the job from transporting into the bubble zone. So you can only protect yourself as much as you can protect yourself.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It might not even go 16 games this season.
Well, yeah, we were talking about just being lucky to see that there's actual football on and being worried that something's going to happen, right? Like, oh God, now it's canceled. How would the weeping and
Yep.
gnashing be weeping and gnashing of teeth? The Pitchfork Nation would be out in force for sure if there was no football. That would be a drag to a lot of fantasy footballers out there,
There
myself.
would probably be protests.
Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that. Um, so let's go into the kind of the injuries here of note and just see who's on the injury bug. All right, we have well, Ingram, of course, is a mid to high ankle sprain. So it's looking like Ingram may or may not play in that game at all, in which case Dobbins would step up there. So you've got that going on in Baltimore. So what I heard was it was a mid to high ankle sprain, but I don't know how bad it was. He went out. What was it, in the second quarter last week? Is that what it was?
I think so.
He went out in the second quarter or early third, and uh, and then Dobbins came in there.
Yeah, and I think that this is a good chance for Dobbins to kind of prove himself. See if he can muster up a good start, and because eventually I think he's going to be the lead guy there. So
Well, my stock is high on J.K. Dobbins because that kid is the real deal, and he is going to be a star in the NFL. Um, he could actually be elite, in my opinion, um, just because he's got it all, and he was dominant in college, and he's a 3 down back, so he could be McCaffrey like as well in that perspective. So I think Dobbins is for fantasy owners that have Dobbins stock. I would be very excited because I would know that the future is not far. It's not far. You might have to have a little patience, but it's going to be paid off with J.K. Dobbins because I think he's, like I said, the real deal there.
He's a good athlete. Yeah.
And then, of course, Raheem Mostert went on to the IR, so he's out minimum 3 games. Again, we went over that high ankle sprain. So I would project probably 3, 4 games for Mostert, which now, of course, raises McKinnon's stock. McKinnon's like a teeter totter if you own McKinnon stock because you can't use them all the time, but if you just wait, you'll be able to use them sometimes. And so now with Mostert out, McKinnon gets all of the touches there, except for who else do they have there besides Mostert and McKinnon?
I believe they have a guy named Jeff Wilson.
Jeff Wilson. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because Jamichael Hasty, I think, is in Baltimore, I believe, isn't he? Jamichael Hasty?
I'm not sure. But yeah, they got Jeff Wilson Jr.
Okay.
It's kind of been the guy that they've been using a little bit.
More on passing downs, I think, though.
Yep.
So it'll be good. He'll be a good flex play for a while now. Then we move into Joe Mixon, foot. Really not sure. I was hoping by now we'd have some updates on Joe Mixon's foot injury because for those owners that if he doesn't practice tomorrow, I mean, today he should have practiced, but if he doesn't practice tomorrow, then it could be that he may be out. Now, let's see. We got no updates on from the Mixon camp on Monday or Tuesday, and now we missed the first day of practice. So we missed Wednesday's practice. So I don't know if he missed today's practice or not. I don't have that news, but otherwise Bernard is going to get the call there. Miles Sanders, of course, is out in Philadelphia, and so now who are they looking at there on the next man up?
Yeah, I see there's a report here from the CincyJungle.com. It says Joe Mixon still sidelined, but seen dancing on injured foot.
Hmm.
So he appears to be.
Well, that sounds like a conspiracy theory now, or a conspiracy. Now we've got that in the mix. So indeed,
Yeah,
dancing
he
on
was.
the injured foot, but yet sidelined. So
Yep.
that's Well, I guess if I was a Mixon owner, I would take that probably as a positive sign.
We'll see come Sunday.
Well, I don't know how bad it is, but if he's dancing, he more than likely will play. Sanders out, so that brings up Boston Scott. Electric little guy, second year guy. I love Boston Scott. He came in with New Orleans, and I had stock in him, and then I dropped him, and he was picked up, so I couldn't sneak him by. And I think Boston Scott's going to perform well there with Sanders out there in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's looks like he's got 7.5 fantasy points right now, so that ain't too bad for the first half.
Oh, he's already got 7.5 fantasy points. Yeah, we have the game going on behind us here. Eagles 10, Giants 7. So who scored for the Giants? I don't remember who scored for the Giants, but anyway, it's 10-7 Philadelphia as of the taping of this show. But by the time you hear it, you will likely have known the outcome. So um, we got some other injuries we'll kind of run through here. Baker Mayfield is dealing with a chest. He played through the injury last week, but he was benched in the second half after he was struggling so bad. So it seems like you won't be able to rely on Mayfield even in a good matchup against the Bengals this week. Sam Darnold returned on a limited basements, limited time since suffering his injury. Shoulder injury is what he had there. Now, still feels like a bit of a long shot for him to come back. So, does it really matter? Kareem Hunt is dealing with a rib injury. He's also dealt with a groin injury a few weeks ago and admitted he hasn't been playing at 100%. Still looks like he intends to play. So, you're going with the Kareem Hunt this week, even though he's playing with the rib injury. Jeff Wilson with a calf injury, so he was limited at practice. So, Wilson could be in line for a healthy role if he plays. Or Jermichael Hasty could split work with Jerick McKinnon. So that's where Jermichael Hasty is, and he's that rookie. But I think Jerick McKinnon's going to get most of those touches, don't you?
Yeah, it seems like he's been the guy when Mostert's been out. He's been getting a lot of targets. Kind of been doing everything for the Niners.
So having Jeff Wilson stock is good. I think somebody just picked him up. So good stock, but kind of a plug and play, especially if the waters get muddy with Jermichael Hasty in there. And if he's in there, and then you got Wilson, and then you got McKinnon, you're going to be hesitant to play any one of them if it gets nasty. You have to see how it plays out. Well, Eckler's out, and the news coming out of the Smash camp is that Eckler is going to be later rather than sooner from his return from that hyperextended knee and indeed hamstring issue. He was put on the IR, which is 3 weeks, but it sounds like he's going to be out. He was out after week 3. So it sounds like he's going to be out probably another month at least. So that brings in Justin Jackson into the mix. Now, Jackson himself is dealing with a knee injury. And he was limited at practice. So it's not a great sign. So for those of you who have Justin Jackson stock, he might play a role there in Charger Town with that John Kelly.
Yep, I got Justin Jackson.
Yeah, he's not really a play, but it could remain to be seen. It seems like he's always hurt.
Yeah, that's kind of been his story so far.
So I wouldn't really count on him for like reliability. But that Kelly is going to get Joshua Kelly's going to get all the carries if he's out.
Yep.
So that's good for Joshua Kelly stock owners. Leonard Fournette, he's been hurt with an ankle, but he's full practice back in. So now what are you going to do there? Ronald Jones has put up like 30 points a week. He's putting up 100-yard games. So what are they going to do to mix this up there in Tampa Town with Bruce Arians? Remains to be seen.
I don't see Fournette getting a whole lot of work. I think they're gonna really run Ronald Jones pretty hard.
So you think they're going to just use Fournette to breathe as a breather for Jones then?
I think so.
Well, let's go down the line here. We got Michael Thomas, ankle, hamstring. Uh-oh. Thomas was limited at practice on Wednesday, and the hamstring is a new one. Now, he was expected to return from the ankle injury in week 5, but of course he apparently punched a guy is what I heard out of the camp there. And so this is probably because of the hamstring. So you'll want to watch this one over the next few days as this hamstring issue is a new one that's coming up there. Julio Jones hamstring, did not practice. However, they're probably going to roll him out or run him out because he's not going to be sidelined. He's too dominant. Um, and then we've got Zach Ertz. Now, what do you make of Ertz this year?
I think Ertz. It's been a little while. It's been a time coming where Dallas Goddard is going to actually surpass him as the tight end there. And I know Ertz he wanted a bigger deal, and I don't know if they actually re-signed him or not. But I think I think Ertz's time might be coming.
Well, for whatever reason in Philly, I don't know if it's clear or not what the reasons are, but he's not he's not catching the ball. He's not getting any real he's not really involved in the game. I don't know why they're not giving Ertz the ball. I mean, he used to be dominant, and now he's whispering. I don't know what if it's I don't know if he's hurt or there's some reason that he's not being involved. Must be some kind of a secret because Zach Ertz should be dominating right now. And isn't this a contract year for him?
I believe so, and I think part of the problem is that their offensive line has looked terrible, and Carson Wentz has kind of looked like Kirk Cousins lately this season, running for his life out there. So
Yeah, he has been under siege out there in Philly. So, um, if they had a better line, like they had a better line last year when he was throwing the ball deep to Deshaun Jackson, and that was a great tandem. I mean, that was his favorite go-to guy, and now it's like everything has changed, and his average yards per attempt, is around 5 or something like that. They're not driving the ball deep.
yeah, and I mean, for receivers, they've had a lot of injuries. They don't really have that nice stud receiver. Jalen Rager, he was supposed to be pretty good, but he's kind of been sidelined for half the season so far. I think they've just been struggling in that department a little bit.
Well, yeah, I think in a big way, but isn't Travis Fulgham on that Eagles squad now?
Yep. Yeah, he's been about the only one producing out of that squad.
Yeah. Um, let's see if we have any Alshon Jeffrey news. I think I really don't have any info on him. Um, but I thought there was some news on him. I don't know if you had heard something on him.
Well, he's been dealing with that same foot injury for probably going on the last few games of last season, and then the first 7 weeks of this season. So he's still inactive, nursing that foot, but they're thinking week 8 might be the old target date for him.
Week 8, indeed. Um, Kelvin really shows up with an elbow injury, which is a new injury, but um, He'll probably play. Don't No need to worry just yet. DeAndre Hopkins got an ankle. He didn't practice, but pretty much was probably getting a day off, and is going to continue to be dominant. Keenan Allen got a back injury. He was limited at practice, but coming off a bye, um, we need to see him get in a full practice. But we'll see what happens. I should have an update here for you. I don't at the moment. Deontay Johnson, full participant, so he can be reinserted into the lineup after missing week 6. Juju Smith-Schuster shows up with a knee and didn't practice. But that's not unusual these days. If you're sitting Schuster, you probably should be. It's not because of an injury. Now, what do you make of that situation in Pittsburgh?
And that's an interesting situation. I did see that coming. I think Deontay Johnson, I wouldn't say if I don't know if he has more talent or what, but I think him and Ben Roethlisberger seem to have some sort of a pretty good connection going on there, and he seems to be getting a lot of targets there. And I don't know if Juju, I don't know if he's playing at 100% or what this year, but I mean he's plenty talented. So I think he'll have a better half of the season here than what he's had so far.
Well, you certainly got to think Smith Schuster is going to definitely step up to the plate here. I mean, it's not like guys should be jumping off the cliff or trading him for a third round pick or anything stupid like that because I would buy Schuster right now if it was me. Uh, and at this point, because his value is artificially way low, artificially, because um, it's just not going to happen that he's just gone out of the out of the lineup. So I think they're going to probably share. But yeah, I indeed having Deontay Johnson stock hope that he gets most of the targets there. But Smith Schuster, or no, but there's also another rookie over there that got more run because Deontay Johnson was out, and that was one Chase Claypool who looked pretty good in his 2 game absence from the lineup. However, yes, he scored 4 touchdowns. And yes, he had a decent week last week, but he still hasn't caught more than 4 passes in a game. And now with Deontay back and Schuster, certainly, it might bring Claypool back to the number 3 receiver, which it should do. So we'll kind of see what happens there. But um, John Brown, now John Brown owners, they've got Stephon Diggs there and that Gabriel Davis rookie, but I think they might want to sit John Brown out. So John Brown owners are down and out there. Sammy Watkins, who uh, has been started as a flex player, didn't practice Wednesday and seems like a long shot. So Watkins is going to be probably sitting. Um, Marvin Jones, who really cares? We won't even waste our time there. DJ Shark, ankle, and Laviska Chenault, hamstring. Now, both were limited, but also have played through this designation before and will continue to play. So, Chark can be started as a wide receiver 3. Chenault can be started as a flex. Uh, Certainly, he's going to get some targets there. So, he just had a down week last week. Now, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are both limited, but it doesn't sound like they're 100%. But you got to be a little bit maybe unsure as if it's not maybe as much of a slam dunk as it used to be.
Yeah, it might seems that Chris Godwin and Brady might be having some issues on the connection side, but I think as the season progresses, Chris Godwin might have a lot of value here.
Yeah, I think as Godwin gets healthy and as they start really having synergy, that I think his Godwin stock is going to go up, and you'll have RW1 numbers from Godwin again. So don't be suicidal and turn the frown upside down for Godwin owners because the best is yet to come with Evans. Um, I guess Brady has pushed the ball downfield some, which is what Evans really needs, to succeed in that offense, like with Jameis Winston. So I think he might be kind of a streaky play.
Yeah, I agree. He's just definitely hasn't been the elite wide receiver one he has been in the past. I think Brady's having a little harder time stretching the ball downfield than he used to, but it just takes time. With a new spot like that, he just gonna have to get used to everyone and get some synergy. But I think both those guys will be able to produce here coming up.
Well, Evans is the goal line guy, so if nothing else, he'll catch 2 balls for 3 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, he'll operate as a number wide receiver 2 right now, and you might get that, or he might put up a 0. He's put up zeros before.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, on the tight end side here, we got Jonnu Smith. Uh, looks like he has a chance to play this week. So Jonnu Smith's been having a breakout year there in Tennessee. So hopefully he gets back into the lineup. Noah Fant, who some owners probably been starting out there. Uh, wouldn't be surprised if he was out yet this week. Logan Thomas, who was kind of a waiver wire pickup uh, just recently, has been a weekly streamer. Uh, Jordan Akins, and then you've got, of course, Rob Gronkowski. Now he's got a shoulder injury. Um, that's why he spiked the ball with his left hand the other night, because he said his right hand was sore. So probably just resting. But I think that's about all of the injury news there. So we have to bring up the Antonio Brown rumors before we close up the show here. So um, Antonio Brown has been rumored to be out there and teams interested in signing him. What have you heard on that front?
So far all I've heard is that the Seahawks have had interest in him. Seems like they always have interest in these disgruntled wide receivers.
Oh yeah,
But I think if he does land there, I mean it'd be a good spot for him to produce, considering that they got Russell Wilson there. But in my opinion, I think that he's going to kind of fade away, kind of like Des Bryant did. I don't think teams really want that burden in their locker room.
well, if there's anyone that would take a chance, it'd probably be Pete Carroll.
Yeah, they seem to be. I mean, they have a contract waiting for Josh Gordon, but he's still waiting on reinstatement. So we'll see kind of what happens there, I guess.
Yeah, so they have Josh Gordon, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Antonio Brown. That would be a lot of mouths to feed in Seattle.
Yep.
Yeah, who knows what would happen to the stock values there. Well, is there any other comments you might have, or any closing closing thoughts?
Well, hopefully the purple this weekend can notch a W. Actually, no, they got a bye week this week, so
Yeah,
won't be
they're
watching the purple this Sunday.
thankfully they have a bye week so that Vikings fans can't sit there and commiserate and want to create Harry Carey with the Harry Carey knife every time they turn on the channel. In fact, I've heard recently from some so-called dedicated loyal Vikings fans that they had turned the channel and saw an interception and flipped the channel, and so that there seems to be some cracks, just little cracks that you can see if you look really close in the foundation. So like I said, the Chiefs ship is large It looks attractive, and we're winners. And it's fun to feel good about your team winning. So the offer's out there. So if anybody wants to join the ship, they're certainly welcome. But anyway, thanks for coming on to the show, bringing perspectives and providing insight. So,
Yep. Thanks for having me. Hopefully we get some listeners on the old podcast this week.
yep, all right. And for another episode of the Smash Dell Fantasy Football Show, this is Smash Dell signing off, and we'll see you next week, folks.